G'day, this is ACE-HG20 Rider. This is a re-release of my suspension extension video. I'm just going to be showing what I did to the front end. I deleted the original video because I found an issue with the shock that I fitted, but I get a lot of questions about what I did to the front end, so I'm going to be re-releasing that part of the video. So I have an Africa Twin shock fitted to my bike at the moment. I had a comment early on from someone who tried to fit one with ABS. The ABS pump sits around here. That reservoir there interferes with it, so it would not fit. But after that, I don't have ABS, so it's not a problem. But after that, I discovered some marks on my swing arm where that reservoir is actually hitting it. So you may see a mark where I've wiped all the mud off. It's only... I did jump the bike and it's not, it hasn't dug in and dented it, it's just a mark. So I think it's only just tapped it, but it has the potential to hit it hard enough to snap something. So I am looking at upgrading the front end in the near future. I'm looking at new springs and a drop-in cartridge, and I'll be replacing the rear shock. So keep an eye out for those videos, but for now, please enjoy this one. So I looked at different options for the front end. One of them is to replace the front end entirely, something from another bike, similar to what I've done with the back now. I've had trouble finding things and they've been very expensive. Another option I saw was to use inners out of a DR650s and the outer from the DL. That way you get to use the same brakes, same wheels, same speedo, everything like that. The DR tube is very long. It is a bit too long and you have to slide it through the top clamps, and you have to use the dampening rod, which is also a bit too long, and the people actually put spacers in them, and the thread's an M10 instead of an M8. So it sounded like a bit of mucking around to me, so I decided just to extend my dampening rods. I have seen this done before. The method I saw, the guy cut it through the middle, put in a 40mm piece, welded both ends and machined it back down again. I went for a slightly different approach. I made up a new end, longer end. I cut the old end off that used to be there. So I made up this new end piece. I would have liked to have made the whole bit, but I don't have the gear to do it. So I made up this end piece longer. I cut the old bit off, welded the new bit on, machined it down. I made this oversize so I didn't have to get it exactly straight when I welded it on. Then by the time I machined it down, it trued up nicely. So this is what actually restricts your travel. So I'll quickly show you how this works. So the dampening rod goes inside here. Pokes out the bottom. So normally your spring would go in there and your end cap. Okay, so bolt goes through the bottom of this into the bottom of this. Yeah, bolt goes through the bottom of the lower leg into the dampening rod. So that dampening rod stays still and this moves up and down. Okay, so we're ready to start putting the forks back together. Now I mentioned I extended these by 40mm. Now the reason I came up with 40mm because I'd read someone had done it before, and I also did the maths and worked out that's quite safe to do. These fork tubes, you're relying on the bushes there and the one in the top of here to keep these in line. So if you were to extend the dampening rod too much, you would allow the tube to come up too far and you wouldn't have much overlap, and this can kink around and bind up. So you've got to have enough overlap to keep these in line. The inner tube is 645mm long. So that means I still have 165mm overlapping. So that's plenty. That's how much overlap I've got between the bushes. Oh yeah, forks are back in. So I've also made up a Speedo eliminator. So while it was off, I cut off the brackets off the front, give it a new coat of paint. I'll let her down, see how she looks. So I finally got the bike back together, out on a test ride. I had to put longer brake lines on the front. The bike feels really good on the road. I was quite surprised. I was worried about it being a bit top heavy. These bikes are a bit top heavy and you make them tall though, well, it's going to get worse. But it's handling really nice. So a recap on what I've done to the bike. I've extended the dampening rods by 40mm. So that's raised the bike and given me more suspension travel. I've got the same spring in there, same spaces, nothing else changed except the brake lines. While I was at it, I removed my old Speedo because I have the Acewell Speedo. I don't use the standard one anymore, so I put a Speedo eliminator on. And I've raised my bars. And my brakes are feeling really good. I thought the front end might be a bit spongy feeling, but it feels really good. These springs are undersprung for these bikes, but because I've moved so much weight off the front end, they work fine. The springs actually work really good with the bike now that I've removed the weight. Anyway, we'll go find a bit of dirt, see how it handles in the dirt, and then I'll try and find something to try and find a rough track to go over and see how it feels. See how that increased suspension travel helps. Well, the bike feels fantastic on this smooth dirt road. We're going to try and find something a bit rougher, hey? So really happy with how the bike's gone today. It's exceeded my expectations. Pretty nervous taking it out after doing all this work, not exactly sure how it's going to handle. The bike's a lot taller now. I was a bit worried about it being too top heavy and being unstable, but it feels fine. Handles the road surprisingly well. So I just need to fine tune that shock a bit. It just feels a little bit stiff, it wants to kick out on me. So I think I need to just maybe back off the rebound dampening. I'm not used to having all that adjustment. Let's see how she goes around this roundabout. Oh yeah! Let's get her up to 100. I don't think I'll scrape the pegs anymore. I got it sideways around there. Oh man, awesome. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel so you can see all my crazy adventures on my new raised V-Strom.